Jose, you asked a couple of calculus questions that I'd be very happy to help you with. Let me share screen so that you can see what I'm writing. Let's see. Okay, here's the first one. You need to define the derivative of this using the definition of the derivative and then use the power rule and the quotient rule to confirm your answer. So as you know, the derivative is going to be the limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. Now this is going to involve quite a bit of algebra. So what I'm going to do is write this expression and simplify it, and then I'm going to take the limit. So f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. I'm going to replace these x's with x plus h, and I'm going to get x plus h quantity squared plus 1 over x plus h, and then I'm going to subtract the original function f of x. That needs to be in parentheses because we're subtracting both terms. So x squared plus 1 over x here, and that's still all over h. Next, what we're going to do, we're going to square this binomial out, and we're going to distribute that negative to get x squared plus 2xh plus h squared plus 1 over x plus h minus x squared minus 1 over x all over h. Okay, so now we need to begin to simplify this thing. So the x squares are going to cancel out. I'll get 2xh plus h squared to begin with. And then I need to combine these two fractions. This one is going to be multiplied by x over x to get a common denominator. And this one by x plus h over x plus h. So that gives me x here on top minus that x plus h, and that needs to be in parentheses because we're subtracting that entire numerator over x times x plus h, and the whole thing is still over h. Now when I distribute that negative, I'm going to get an x minus x. They're going to cancel out. I'll get a negative h. So what I get here is 2xh plus h squared minus h over x times x plus h, and that's still all over h. Okay, so again, I distributed the negative and I got x minus h. The x minus x canceled out, leaving me with the negative h, and that negative is right there. Okay, now I want to factor an h out of all three terms on top here so I can cancel it with that. So that would look like this, h times the quantity 2x plus h minus, and I'll get a 1 over x times x plus h because I factored that h out. All over h. These cancel. So I get 2x plus h minus 1 over x times x plus h. The denominator went away. So now my derivative, f prime of x, is the limit as h approaches 0 of this expression that's been simplified. Now, if h starts looking like 0, 2x is not affected, but that kind of goes away. 2x. And then I get 1 over x times x because h is going to 0. So that's 1 over x squared. And there's my derivative. Now, I would like to verify that using the power rule and the quotient rule. So let's start with our original function. F of x is x squared plus 1 over x. So f prime of x, this exponent becomes a coefficient, 2x. The exponent drops by 1. And then this one, the bottom times the derivative of the top. So x times 0 because the derivative of 1 is 0 minus the top, which is 1, times the derivative of the bottom, which is also 1, all over the bottom squared. X times 0 is just 0. And so my derivative, f prime of x, this gives me 2x to the 1, which is just 2x. This is going to be negative because that 0, I get minus 1 over x squared, which is what we got earlier. Okay, your second question had to do with compound interest. I believe this is the formula that we need, and your problem had to do with a 3% interest compounded monthly, and determine the value after 10 years. It's 10,000 lira. Okay, so our interest rate, 3%, we represent that as 0.03, and the number of times we compound every year is going to be 12 if it's done monthly. And what I know is that B of 10 is this 10,000, and that's whatever we initially invested times 1 plus 0.03 divided by 12. So we divide that yearly interest rate into 12 portions. And since we compound 12 times a year, we're going to get a 12 times a 10 up here. And we're going to solve this equation for our initial investment, B naught. So 10,000 is equal to B naught times this. I'm going to use a calculator here and come up with 1 plus that number. So 1 plus 0.03 divided by 12. And we're going to get 1.0025, and that's raised to the 120th power. So now what we want to do, we're going to divide both sides by this quantity here. 10,000 divided by 1.0025 to the 120. That's going to be our initial investment, and I'm going to use a calculator for that. And what I got was $7,410.96. You can see my calculator, and I rounded to the nearest cent. And there's the answer. I do hope that this has helped you, and I would love to work with you in the future. Take care.